right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Well, good even fall to one and all. This is Warp Speed, and welcome to the Life at Warp Speed YouTube channel. Lieutenant Commander Starlog date 11020.8. And I hope you are doing well of health and the sane of mind. Good even fall. And we're just going to get into it. We're just going to break into this year's show right here. This is the Warp Speed. I hope you are doing well of health and sane of mind. And we do have a guest, one of our more common guests, the person that you can expect to partake in this here live. This is going to be the homie Ricky. The homie Ricky, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. My check real quick. I can hear you, brother.
1 2 1 2. Homie Ricky, thank you again for joining in this year live. These broadcasts are very meaningful to me and they are quite rare, even though I've expended money in order to make sure that we can stream and express our voice. We know what they say, freedom of expression ain't free. But nonetheless, we do have an opportunity now to gather, congregate, and to discuss all things organized violence, boxing, sport. And homie Ricky, it's been a little while since we've had a live. It's been close to a week and a half, and there's been so much news, mostly about things that will take place this weekend, in fact, even though there are fights right now. But last weekend was, a pretty slow weekend, and we only say slow in the sense that we only had about one major event being broadcast, when usually we can have upwards of four at a very great week, five if you start including MMA and things of that sort, maybe 10 if you start going into the other type of organized violence, kickboxing and Muay Thai and things of that sort. But last week, homie Ricky, we were treated to one of the strangest fights that could have been presented to us. We had two fighters that combined age was almost 80 years old. We had Joe Joyce fighting Derek Chisora over there in the UK. Two Londoners fighting for their flag. And it was only strange in the sense that these guys are quite old. They're shop worn, but they're very feisty and very slow. Homie Ricky, did you get to see that fight right there, which is one of the strangest fights because it was so slow? These guys were so old. They looked old, but still it was a very exciting event. Did you get to see that fight?
Actually, I haven't really been watching much boxing, man. So I've only been
why
to
is
those
that?
just the live boxing events. There was the Tavares car amateur fights, things of that nature. So I haven't really been paying attention to a lot of boxing. Pretty much missed everything since we last spoke. Yeah. Kind of sucks, man. But yeah, what happened?
Well, before we go in there, thank you very much for reminding us that just last weekend we were treated to one of the biggest lowrider boxing culture and artistic shows in all of the Central California region. And I would say that would encompass the whole of Fresno all the way to San Jose, California. So we are talking about a great swath of land right there. We had an opportunity to display the artistic side of the lowrider muscle car Chicano culture, and we also got to see a lot of these amateur fighters, the generation that will be coming up and hopefully making some noise soon enough in the world of boxing. We got to see a little bit of everything in the Tavares family mega show, and it was a great event, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys were around this region and you got to visit the town of Salinas on the 27th of July, current year 2024, last Saturday, it was an incredible event. But that was where I was at. Nonetheless, I had an opportunity to watch that fight, homie Ricky. And Joe Joyce, remember Joe Joyce was a guy that had a lot of hype going on in his favor the past few years before he ended up losing to Big Bang Singh, right? He broke the orbital bone of, I think he broke two orbital bones. Joe Parker, he beat that guy, and then he ended up beating Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois at that moment was undefeated. Daniel Dubois is no older than 25 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. And anyways, this guy Joe Joyce was just, they call him the Juggernaut. He's a come forward fighter that never moves his head, so he takes a lot of damage. But the one thing that made him stand out about everything is that he kept taking everybody's punches right there, right smack dab in the face, without any kind of seemingly physical harm being told onto his body, until he ended up meeting Big Bang Singh, right? Big Bang Singh ended up putting him out and harming that guy. Danny Dubois, of course, when he fought that guy, he got his orbital bone broken, and Daniel Dubois, they called him a quitter. Now he's on the tear. He's beaten men like Big Baby Miller. He had a heck of a fight against Alexander Usyk. Some people think that he should have gotten the knockdown when Alexander Usyk did not get up from that controversial punch in the belt region. But Joe Joyce has been on the down and out, right? He's been beaten. He got destroyed by Big Bang Singh, and he ended up facing Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora is the equivalent of Gabriel Rosado, the best gatekeeper, right? The best journeyman that you can think of at the heavyweight division. And he's been losing so many, homie Ricky. I would say, like, in the past 20 fights, he's lost about 11 or so, right? And somehow, these guys went toe to toe in a very slow fight, but they were executing harm on each other. And Joe Joyce still had, he was the favorite. But when you saw the fight, homie Ricky, it didn't play out like he was the favorite. It looked like Derek Chisora. You can never discount that guy. It looked like Derek Chisora won the majority, if not every single round, and he ended up getting a knockdown on the Juggernaut, Joe Joyce. It was an incredible fight. I would say, fight of the year so far. It was just a very fun event, homie Ricky. And you, I guess you can say, yeah, you missed something. It wasn't for any kind of belts. It wasn't for anything else besides bragging rights about who's the oldest fighter in the sport that can still beat another guy. It was just a very fun event, man.
Got you, man. Yeah, to be honest with you, I haven't really been paying attention to much of boxing ever since Ruben Villa lost, man. Just,
Heartbreaking, huh?
yeah, I mean, you know, I'm happy for the guy that beat him in the sense that, like, you know, he was an underdog. You know, he's 25-1 underdog. You know, so I always like a good underdog story. But yeah, you know, when it's close to home and you've been rooting for this kid and you've met him and you've known him for a while, and yeah, you know, and he's been knocking on the door for the past 4 years to get that much closer to get a title shot, and then just to fall short. It's extremely heartbreaking, man. Especially
Yeah.
like that fighter's a good fighter, but you know, it's like we don't know him. You know, maybe he'll bounce back and, you know, be the next Venado Lopez, where, you know, he gets beat and then, you know, a couple of times and then just bounces back and just goes on a tear potentially. But yeah, man, extremely heartbreaking. And since then, haven't really been watching a lot of boxing, much of any boxing. And hey, man, you should title your video differently. The burden of a pound for pound fighter. Nah, bro, you want to get traction, you just put Israeli Madrimov is a bum, and Terrence Bud Crawford should knock him out.
Yeah. Well, so hopefully, I'm hoping that we'll talk about it. I think, yeah, you know, I'm still divided on whether or not this is going to be the title. I can still correct it. You know, but that's what I wanted to talk to you about, right? I know that you haven't been following on the sport. I know you've been a little heartbroken about our local fighter. We were really hopeful that he would have come through, represent the small town of Salinas, California. We had high hopes, right? I know that it takes a toll to be so emotionally invested in another person's career. Uh, Intellectually invested also, because we really pondered his career in this management probably more than anybody else out there in the world of boxing, right? So when he loses, of course, it's heartbreaking, especially when it turns out that most of the things that we were saying turned out to be proven to be true, right? So I understand that you may not be, following the news lately, and in fact, neither have I, right? I mean, my son was one of the fighters at the Tavares Family Mega show. So we've been working on his craft. We've been, taking him to the sparring sessions. He won, by the way, so that's good. But I myself have not been following the sport. But you know that one of the biggest events in boxing, one of the biggest, heaviest cards that has ever been presented in the United States of America is going to be taking place this Saturday, presented to us by His Excellency Turkey Ali Sheikh and Saudi Arabia, Riyadh Season, right? And it features men such as Jose Venezuela taking on Isaac Cruz, Pitbull versus Rayo. We have the return of Andy Ruiz Jr. Yep, Snickers Bar Boy. He's coming back. He's going to be fighting Baby Jarrell, Baby Miller. He's that's going to be a heck of a fight. One guy just is coming off of a loss. Baby Miller is losing. It just lost to Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois looks like a brand new man, and of course, Andy Ruiz has been out of the sport for 2 years. Both of them look very much in shape, homie Ricky. Both of them look excellent, and by excellent I mean Andy Ruiz looks chubby, but not too chubby. But he doesn't look like Chris Arreola skinny, right? And because that Chris Arreola skinny guy, that Andy Ruiz, I'm scared of, because that guy, he's a guy that'll lose. You see what I'm saying? We need the guy that's strong enough to move those 200 and some odd pounds, 250, 260 some odd pounds with that velocity of his, because he's definitely a skillful, quick counterpuncher. But at the same time, we also have fighters such as Andy Cruz testing himself against Antonio Moran. We have, a couple of up-and-coming fighters, but the big fight, which is Terrence Bud Crawford, making a run at his fourth belt championship. He's going to be taking on a fighter by the name of Ismail Madrimov, who happens to look a lot like Triple G and fights a lot like him. I think they may be from the same region of the world, but he does not have the experience at all. I would say maybe he has 1/3 of the experience of the 2-time undisputed champion Crawford. Homie Ricky, let's get down to brass tacks before we go there, right? First off, let's talk about this event. Are you excited for this event?
Yeah, man. I'm extremely excited for this event. I don't like the pricing of the event.
What is the pricing?
A lot of people like to say that this is a stacked card. And it's true. It is stacked in the sense that we recognize the names, right? Not necessarily big names in terms of they're the fighters of now, like momentum, excluding Bud and Pitbull Cruz. Everybody else on this card, they're not big names. So like what I mean by that is like let me try to clear it up a little bit. It's like Andy Ruiz, they tried to show the world that he was a big name, right? Because he beat Joshua, and he did great things. But when he had his own pay-per-view, he didn't do well, right? With Chris Arreola and with King Kong Ortiz, they did not do great numbers. Then you have Pitbull Cruz, a fighter of now with a lot of momentum, and essentially they're piggybacking off Andy Ruiz, an LA region fighter, and Pitbull Cruz, a Mexican, like favored, loved fighter, and they're using this to sell, basically Bud Crawford in LA, right? And he's fighting.
That's a very good, interesting way of putting that.
So, it's a stacked card, but I don't think it's stacked. It's basically what I'm saying. It's like it's a stacked card, but not a stacked card. If that makes any sense, I know it's like it's hypocritical, but it's big name. But I just feel like this shouldn't be a pay-per-view fight. And when what I mean by that is like, yes, you're trying to sell us this notion that is a stacked card. If that's the case, why isn't this event sold out? It's not sold out. In
Yeah,
fact, when the tickets came out first originally, and maybe you can say, oh, well, Virgil Ortiz and Tim Tszyu were supposed to be on it. Sure, sure. But the tickets for this fight were extremely expensive,
yeah, very much so.
right? And then they've dropped almost like more than half the price
More than
because they
half.
overvalued the market. They overvalued Bud Crawford. You see, this is what people don't understand is Bud Crawford has never been a big star. Even till this point, he is not a big star. He's bigger than what he was way back then, but it was mainly because people finally realized and gave him respect for beating Errol Spence, who Errol Spence was a fan favorite fighter in the sense that I wouldn't necessarily say Errol is huge, but he had the backing of the Dallas Cowboys. He had the backing of the hip hop community. People were in tune with Errol Spence. So yeah, maybe Bud took all, like, people are much more interested still in Errol Spence's career and the publicity of Errol Spence than Bud Crawford himself. You see, because even till this day, Bud Crawford is not approachable, man. He's again, I'm not gonna go into all of these details and sound like an extreme hater, but if you watch any of this dude's interviews, man, he's always on edge. And
Yeah,
that's what Bud is. Like, he doesn't have charisma. He doesn't have personality. And Errol was very engaging. And he was always smiling, talking his shit and stuff like that. When Bud talks his shit, you almost feel like he's gonna punch you right then and there. Like, he has this cold ass stare where it's like, say something. I dare
yeah,
you to say
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
fuck, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. No,
And
that I get that too. I get that too.
so again, and
He did that
if
to
you
Eddie
look at
Hearn.
Turkey Al Sheikh, they're trying to promote the shit out of it, and ultimately it's not working. It's really not working, and you have to ask yourself, if this is such a stacked card, why aren't all of those things working? Why
Yeah,
aren't people? Why isn't this? If this was such a stacked card, it would have sold in 20 minutes. Like Anthony Joshua, came out with that. There was a headline. I think Eddie Hearn was like, "Oh my God, Joshua sold out in less than 20 minutes or 8 minutes when the tickets went on sale," right? And that's not what this is. You see, so it's like Bud Crawford is not a big name. Yeah, his following might have grown by 1 million or whatever the case may be, but that doesn't mean that they're really fiscal supporters of his brand, right? He's never been that guy. He's not a pay-per-view star, nor does he necessarily have to be. But for all intents and purposes, it's like if you're trying to sell this for $80, basically $100 after taxes and stuff. Once you get close to $100 pay-per-view card, you start asking yourself, okay, Andy Ruiz, he hasn't fought in 2 years. Jarrell Miller pops dirty and is coming off a loss. No big deal, right? But Drug Cheat and Andy Ruiz, he's busy getting lower back tattoos all the way down his butt crack and fucking has an OnlyFans. Rayo
yeah.
Valenzuela, it's better than Rolly Romero, and
So
Pitbull
this
Cruz.
is the way
But
that I
it's like,
see
come
this
on,
fight,
bro.
right? So
Yeah.
okay, so here's the thing, right? That's you touched on a lot of things, right? At first, you insinuated, or you implied, that this undercard has been set up to present some names that'll, I don't know, maybe ingratiate Terrence Bud Crawford, who you consider to be a person who lacks charisma and likability, to the Southern California, Los Angeles region boxing fan base, right? So, so you and I guess you can say that's true, right? There's a couple of Mexican American Chicano types, Andy Ruiz, Rayo Venezuela, uh, and of course Mexicans like Isaac Cruz. We know there's a lot of those folks over there down south. Yeah, you put those guys in there in order for them to bring those eyes to those eyes and the attention to that fight card, right? Um, but you made it seem like it's all in order to promote Terrence Bud Crawford, and I do understand that there is some truthfulness to that because Turki Ali Sheik has been really, really working hard to make Terrence Bud Crawford a star of the sport. He's talking about these fantasy fights. They really are fantasy fights, right? So I do understand that Terrence Bud Crawford is the star of the night. He's obviously the best fighter in the world. He's going to be headlining, and everything that takes place underneath it is because he's the guy in the top. So there's no question, I guess, on that in that case right there. Now, as far as the tickets, of course, you got to understand one thing. When I checked out the prices, because I was looking forward to attending this event, right? This is the biggest event in the history of boxing, I guess I would say overall, right? Because I would encourage you to look into the history of all the undercards or full cards that we've been presented to in the past decades, pay-per-view or not, and tell me when else have you seen all these fights that potentially could be 50-50s with people who all you have to do is have a modicum of knowledge of the sport of boxing and you'll know these names, right? You've heard these names, you've seen these fighters before, right? So in that sense, I almost consider it something akin to the big pay-per-view events that, let's say, the UFC and Dana White presents us, right? There's some pay-per-view events that the UFC presents to us that are chock full of potentially good fights with names that you don't have to be a genius of the sport, a deep follower of the sport to know. The people start hyping it up. It feels a lot like that, right? Now, when you get an undercard like that, not everyone is going to be a superstar. Not everyone is going to be a belt holder, but it's the fighters that they're presenting to you that have had history, that you
Right.
know their style, that they are exciting. So that's what this is sort of reminds me of. It reminds me more of a UFC card that has a lot to offer, right? Now, as far as the ticket prices, I recall I I tried to check out the prices, right? And the cheapest ones, the nosebleeds, if I'm not mistaken, were like $513. I was completely discouraged of purchasing once I saw that. Equivale, a good even fall to one and all, the Mexican G, Equivale, homeboy, how you doing? Mr. Vince Vargas, boxing for life, watching from work. Yeah, what make sure that you work happy and what is that saying? Whistle while you work and you'll be a happy individual. The homie Ricky states, what's up, guys? Good to see you. I hope all is well. Happy Wednesday, Vince and the Mexican G. Yep, happy Wednesday to both of you gentlemen. I hope you are enjoying yourself in this conversation, and I hope you are eagerly waiting for what seems to be the biggest boxing event that's ever been presented. Now, going back to the prices, homie Ricky, they seem to be a bit exorbitant. Definitely too out of my range. Not just for me though, because see, I'm a family man. I got to think about, you know, my family. So I'm not just gonna expend $500 without considering taking them with me. So I looked at that and I was like, yo, even if we got nosebleeds, we're looking at $2,500 plus going down south to Los Angeles and then finding the place and everything. We're probably looking at, having fun over there. Probably looking at maybe making it a 3 or 4 night event. We're probably going to spend close to 4,000 some odd bucks, right? Because you're going to get your verbal or Airbnb, your hotel, your food, maybe take the kids down to Disneyland or whatever, right? But it was just too
Hell no, I'm
much.
sleeping in that car, bro.
Yeah, you're smarter than me though, and you don't have children, so that's good. But now the prices have dropped. Now you gotta understand, homie Ricky, if you're a businessman and they present you and you're presenting this thing, right? You're gonna try to shoot for a high price, right? It's like negotiations, right? You start off high. The people that are negotiating with you, they're gonna start you off low. You're gonna start negotiating, coming down to a happy medium. You're gonna probably meet them halfway in the middle, and that seems to where they're at right now, about half the price. They got a couple of people to jump at the opportunity. Those guys are the wealthy individuals that they're trying to sell to. They're trying to make the big wealthy, I don't know, Hollywood types, athlete types to get those tickets first, right? Because they could. Now the plebeian, the commoners like ourselves, the guys who actually have to save money to make an event, then Afterwards, when we're gonna get the scraps, we're gonna get the leftovers, right? But the thing is this: the prices continued to be high for a while until the last minute, and now they're really dropping in price. Now they have to uh, deal with the fact that they have to fill up the stadium to make it seem like this event is that big, to make it seem like America is still deeply involved in boxing. So I think it's just natural, homie Ricky. I don't think they overpriced it. I think they sold well of those more pricier, tickets, but they really, they really left it to the very last minute in order to drop them. They probably did not consider what enough hard, uh, you know, hard, and poor we some of us may be those hard times, right? But right now you can get very good tickets for me, Ricky, for around $300, and I'm talking about very good tickets. What I'm saying is this: if you got the money, you can watch one of the best chock full events you can get yourself on, and for $80 it doesn't seem any bad or any worse than some of the best UFC events that Dana White has presented. I think it's good. I think it's better than some of the offerings that we get with Canelo, where he's the main guy. Everything is mostly filler. Maybe you get one fight on the undercard that's intriguing, but everything else revolves around him. This thing is every fight is something that has intrigue. Or do you disagree with that?
No, no, I agree with a lot of those statements, man. Every single fight is intriguing for sure, man, and they have huge ramifications. Like, just because I don't want this fight to be on pay per view, because here's the case: every single big fight in boxing, it's a pay per view fight, right? Every single fight this year has been pay per view, and sometimes, in order to maximize and build a star, it's you have to give and take, right? Crawford has had a lot of momentum coming off the shellacking beating that he gave Errol Spence. So you know what you should do on your next fight
Hmm.
is expose Crawford's gifts, strength for free. Right? That's how you maximize and you build momentum. What you don't do is take a year off from the sport because you lose momentum. Same thing happened with Andy Ruiz. You beat Anthony Joshua, you instantaneously damn near rematched him off the get-go, and then he was spending all of the hard-earned money. And it's good. But to maximize the moment, he overpriced himself out with Wilder and all of these situations. And he fell on that bag to the point now that he's fighting Jerome Miller. So, obviously there's a lot of in-betweens there. But what happens is once you win a huge momentous fight, look at Ryan Garcia. He beat Devin Haney, but then he got suspended and it's going to take to the point where people will forget about it. And you have to maximize your moment because boxing is such a short career and you're going to have even shorter moments where if you want to expose yourself to the limelight, you have to hone in on the attention. You know what I mean? And a lot of those fighters on the undercard, as intriguing as they are, a lot of them are losing momentum, right? But Crawford's coming off a year layoff. Andy Ruiz 2 years. Andy Cruz. Pitbull Cruz is the only one that's really like maximizing his moment and is coming off a close, decisive loss to Tank Davis. But he's the only fighter out of all of those fighters on that card that truly understands. And that's why he's probably the most relevant and why he's the co-main event and why he's on this card. You see?
Yeah.
If we look down the list, nobody knows David Moreau. We don't even know who he fought last. It probably was Esquivel Falcao, a Brazilian. But nobody knows that, right? Andy Cruz, he's barely starting his pro career. He's fighting Antonio Moran, a good Mexican fighter, right? Then you have Marin Bacoli versus Jared Anderson. I like those guys, but those are guys that people don't even know about.
Whoa. I
So,
sort of disagree with that, homie Ricky, because
because
Anderson
look at it
has
like
been
this.
spoken as the next big American heavyweight. He seems to be the star. He's from Ohio. He's a highly touted amateur. He's a young prospect, I guess, maybe a contender, but he is one of the best heavyweights in the United States of America, right? And if it's not him, if you cannot talk about an American heavyweight and say the name Anderson, then I don't know who's out there, homie Ricky. I mean,
Richard Torres.
yeah, but
I'm more
Anderson has
excited
been in the
about
eyes.
Richard. Hold on, I'm more
Really?
excited about Richard Torres than Jared Anderson. You know, Richard Torres, he looks to have. Look, dude, he's got something unique that most of these fighters we haven't seen really have in terms of the
Oh God,
in
I
terms
know
of the
what you're gonna
heavyweight
say.
division.
The mustache, right? The porn
Dude,
mustache.
the mustache, the curly nappy hair, you know, the
Yeah,
fucking like he tries to fight like Lomachenko and he goes in there with his head like he's always looking for the knockout. You know what I mean? And there's no
yeah.
controversy with him. He doesn't have no political pull war and no gimmicks where he's gonna come out in shackles and you know like any of that stuff. You know, like it's just bro straight sport. You know, I'm gonna listen to Mozart as I'm walking in and boom. So nah, bro. Here's the thing. If Jared Anderson has wants to be the face of American heavyweight boxing, Black American heavyweight boxing, he has a great opportunity to steal the show and knock out Martin Bakoli. That's gonna be a tough fight. If he can
Wow,
do that,
that's a tough.
That's against Martin.
Wow.
No, I mean, look, if you're telling me that he's the next face of American boxing, American heavyweight division boxing, which is usually the black fighters, then he's got to become the next Deontay Wilder. You
Yeah,
know what I
no,
mean?
no,
But
no.
this dude
And I'm
tries
not
to
saying,
fight.
yeah, but I'm not trying to say that he is. I'm just saying that he's been uh, touted. He's been lauded as that guy, right? I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he's ever going to become anything bigger than where he is right now. I'm not even saying that he'll ever fight in the bigger context than the fights that he is right now. I'm not even saying that he could get over Bakodi because Bakodi is a very, very skillful fighter, very durable. He is a dark horse at the heavyweight division. But
He's a
what I
tough
am
ass
saying,
fighter. He's strong.
what yeah, but what I am saying,
He's all right, but he's tough, extremely tough.
what I am saying though is that Anderson has been hailed as that next guy. Anderson has done a lot to try and bring eyes to his own fights, like you said, right? He's, free my brother, and he comes out in shackles, and his brother is a killer. He's the guy that comes over here in the teddy bear suit. I don't know what for. He's the guy who's always trying to draw eyes to his fights. And if you don't know him, shame on you. If you haven't heard, Tim Bradley and all these other guys say that he's the next big thing, if you haven't seen him fight at a free top rank card, shame on you, right? You aren't a boxing fan, and we already know that's that's almost a
What?
true. It's almost a truism, homie Ricky. The sport of boxing is a niche. It is no longer the sport of America. It is number 7 after tennis or whatever. Maybe table tennis, right? It's
I'm gonna
very
disagree, man. I'm gonna disagree.
no. God, how are you gonna
Boxing,
disagree? The numbers
because
are
check this
there.
out. Look, it's not so much about the numbers, man. And this is what I mean. It's this. Everyone will always tune in for a boxing event if it's done properly. It will be talked about more so than tennis, unless you have Roger
Of
Federer
course, of
and
course.
Rafael Nadal. Like for example, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, right? When they go at it, or Nikola Djokovic, when they go at it, bro, it doesn't still have the like. People are still talking about Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney more than that. Like, there's been not one event this year in the sport of boxing. I mean, in all sports, sorry, whether it's baseball, hockey, basketball, football, then Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. That fight, that performance, everything around surrounding it, during, after the fight, before the fight, everyone is talking about it more so than the Kansas City Chiefs beating the 49ers.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. And the reason for that is because boxing has the potential to be bigger than all of those sports because of the
Absolutely.
sensationalism. I mean, there's nothing greater than watching blood, spill forth from the septum of an individual. There's nothing greater than watching a man get knocked out or get knocked down and get up and come back to win. There's nothing greater than that. I get that.
So
The whole cinematic experience of watching a
based on
boxing fight.
that, based on that intrigue, when boxing doesn't really have a schedule, right? And that's why the ratings and the numbers are so like you said, oh, it's like the 7th or the 10th or the 15th sport in America, because it's not consistent with that. We don't constantly have Ryan versus Devin and things of that nature, because all of those, boxing is not an organized sport. It's literally like, we're trying to build one fighter and we have to protect him and cherry pick opponents, where all of the other sports, they have structure. So for example, the 49ers are really good and they're on a 10-game winning streak. They're not going to fight the next best team until the Super Bowl. They'll fucking smash a team with a record of 2 wins and 8 next week. And then the other team sucks as well. The Detroit Lions will beat them with a record of 5-5. It don't matter if they're good or bad. It's scheduled. Boom, 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 boom. And that's why you get consistent and like overinflated ratings and stuff like that. But like on a microscopic scale, right? Like Devin and Ryan took the world by storm. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody, bro. I mean, dude, check this out. In NFL, you have to win the Super Bowl to go meet with presidents and shake their hand and stuff. Ryan Garcia, in just one night, beat Devin Haney and went to go shake the president's hand, Donald Trump. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. I get it. Okay, let's go. Let's get back to boxing. Let's get back to boxing. Okay, let's get back to boxing, right?
This is all boxing. So going back to intrigue, right? So Bud Crawford, after the momentum of Errol Spence, he has the whole world essentially on his shoulders, where people want to see his talent. And what do Turki Al-Sheikh and them do? They make it a private event. They make it exclusive event. You have to purchase the pay-per-view. Darn. People want to see Pitbull Cruz. Exclusive. When these guys are barely building and carrying their momentum, they're just starstruck and they lost it. It's true. It's like this, man.
So
like,
do you think this event is, one, worth the $80? 2, do you think it'll do well? And 3, is it going to be well attended last minute? I think it is.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, because we're diehard fans. So for me, I'm interested in all of these fights. Shit, I think Antonio Moran is gonna give Andy Cruz a very good fight, because the guy comes to bring it, right? Martin Bacoli is gonna give Jared Anderson a very good fight. Now, I don't know if these guys are going to win, but I know
I think he will.
We're gonna get our money's worth for sure. Like for my intrigue of the sport, I'm extremely interested in this fight. Like there's a lot of fights. Like I want to see if Rayo Valenzuela is chinny. I want to see if Pitbull Cruz will struggle against a taller fighter with pop and speed, trained by Robert Garcia. I think Rayo has a good chance of going the distance. I know Pitbull is the superior fighter. He has much more experience than Rayo. I think Rayo only has like 13 amateur fights. Pitbull Cruz has like over 86. So obviously Pitbull is a much superior fighter, better fighter, but he's limited by being 5'2". So he's always going to struggle with guys. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, all right, I'm intrigued by this. I want to see Andy Ruiz back because I support Andy, bro. Out of all of the fights for the past decade, that's one of the Mexican-American fighters that I'm most proud of, bro. That fight with
I don't know if
Anthony Joshua.
If
me and my mom and our parents, dude, like we always talk about it, bro. Just seen a little gordito with a freaking little baby smile, like we did, like dude.
Okay. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. Let's focus on something. Let's focus on this.
I'm trying to talk boxing, man.
No. You're talking about you're talking about Andy Cruz when addressing a fight between between Pitbull Cruz and Rayo Venezuela. Let's talk about that right there. All right. So we have, I don't know, I'm sure that you saw the I don't know, face off or presser, whatever, yesterday and today. It's actually going on right now in the zone. We're gonna have a couple of fighters up right now. I think Mark Castro from Fresno is about to fight. He's a very cool individual. I've met the guy. I've gotten his autograph. He was there present when my son fought, when we went to Santa Maria, right? And in Fresno too, we ran into him over there. And he's fighting right now. This is going to be a very good fight right now. This is close enough. The open, I don't know what you call it, open tryouts or whatever training that is taking place down in the pier in Los Angeles, right? I think maybe in this, whatever pier, whatever Venice Beach or whatever, right? Mark Castro is coming up right now down the red carpet. Now,
Nice.
yeah, yesterday we got to see Pitbull Cruz stand toe to toe with Rayo Valenzuela. Now, Rayo Valenzuela was almost a complete head size over Pitbull. Now,
Yeah.
the center of gravity is obviously going to benefit Pitbull in the fight like that, right?
Yes,
He's
sir.
going to be centered. He's going to obviously get better leverage on his punches. He's going to have the advantage in the sense that it's easier to throw punches up than it is to throw them down. And you're not going to be able to catch that little guy that's always coming with his head forward tucked, with his, doing this Mike Tyson imitation with his hands duked up and throw uppercuts, because you really have to get down there in order for you to throw those kind of punches. So I do see Rayo Valenzuela having a heck of a hard time against Pitbull Cruz, and we also
It's
know
true.
that, Rayo tends to fight with his head slightly upwards, right? Which
Yeah.
has subjected himself to a knockout defeat before, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he didn't get knocked out by
No, he got
Edwin de los Santos.
he
He
got
did?
knocked out. Well, the ref stopped it, but I mean, he was gonna, like, he was like, bro, I can't see you get beat up no more. Like, he stopped it, bro. Like, it was bad.
Okay, so then, I would
But
say that
but
Pitbull
to be
Cruz
fair,
is gonna
to be fair
have the
with Rayo though,
advantage.
but to be fair with Rayo, Edwin was the last minute replacement because he was supposed to be fighting
True,
Jezreel
true.
Corrales. So
Yeah.
and then he was getting hit with some punches with Edwin. Then he dropped Edwin and he went for broke. And Edwin, like, they just started bombing on each other, and he just got caught with a punch. Never really recovered. And and then Edwin started taking control and more. Knowing Rayo, knowing that he's gonna be very methodical in the exchanges with Pitbull. He understands, like, all right, dude, this dude's even shorter. He has the Mike Tyson peekaboo defense, hella high guard, fucking deformed, tough ass skull. Like, it's gonna be very tough for me to, like, just beat this dude. So how am I gonna, like, there's a couple of game plans, right? Am I gonna dig low to the body? Or am I gonna pop some uppercuts? Or am I gonna stick a jab and then move and, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's many ways, but it's easier said than done because Pitbull, by his name, he's a fucking animal, bro. It's perro, bro.
He is.
Like,
Yeah, he's mean.
like, good
He's mean.
luck. Just, dude, good luck. I don't care how good you are. When you fight Pitbull, you're gonna be like, you don't. It's never fun fighting guys like that. Never. Even if you're sparring with dudes like that, you're never gonna enjoy that unless you're like, you get to your head. Let the bet, like, who's got the more dog, bro. That's it. Because that's what Pitbull fights for, bro. El Orgullo de Mexico. Like, it's gonna be very interesting to see what Rayo does. And honestly, we'll see, man. We'll see. I don't know.
Okay, so I ask all of our listeners, El Pachuco, good even fall to you, Carnal. Thank you very much for hopping on this live. I said that I was going to go live yesterday, I believe. I apologize for that. I've been trying to host a live on another topic outside of the sport of boxing. I've been trying to expand on some other topics of interest. I've been trying to do this one show about the business. Yes, I said it. The business of organ donation, right? But I've not been able to to really gather my thoughts. I think I know the direction of it, but we'll probably have to hit it up tomorrow. It's going to be something not boxing related. It's actually quite an interesting and quite grotesque, even scary topic, considering organ donation, right? But thank you nonetheless for catching up with us today. I hope all is well. I hope you've been well of health and sane of mind, of course. So good to see you, hear me, Pachuks. Homie Ricky, Mark Castro is gonna step in right now. He's actually gonna start throwing punches right now. He walked in with the Mexican flag and also the American flag. So this, we would say, is definitely a Mexican American fighter who proudly identifies as such, and he represents both cultures well. And I've met the
Vince
guy.
is
He's very-
saying that you can watch Mark Castro on YouTube, the Zone Boxing. I just put it on the Zone Boxing, like in this other tab. Boom,
Yeah.
I stop, bro. I didn't even know.
Yeah. Well, it
No
is
shit.
because, see, recall what I told you. This was an open tryout or open sparring or whatever you call it that was taking place tonight. So everybody gets to see these fights. So I hope everybody gets to see Mark Castro. That gentleman right there has some of the whitest teeth that I've ever seen on a Mexican. You expect to see that.
What the
You expect to see
fuck?
that on, on black folk and stuff like that. I don't know how they get their teeth so white, but yeah, he has white teeth, like incredibly white teeth. Um, but yeah, he's
Yeah,
also a very
they
cool
go
guy.
to like a tooth specialist. Obviously they have braces and
Really?
stuff like that. But yeah, that like if you look at a lot of these people's smiles, like Tekashi 6ix9ine and all of these dudes, they do the same thing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's veneers or anything like that, but it's pretty much like that. And they get it whitening, and it's like this whole process. It's a very interesting process. You know what I mean? It's like $1 million smile for sure. But it lets me
Oh.
know if you're spending that much money on your teeth, you're afraid to get punched in the mouth.
Oh, ho, 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 ho. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I was gonna say maybe
Just
he.
saying, bro. I'm just saying.
Well, that's Mark Castro. He's not afraid of getting punched in the mouth. He's actually been in quite some good brawls, right? In fact, some people have said that he is not so good because a lot of his fights become brawls. And I'm like, what, man? You can never please a boxing fan. A guy wants to go in there toe to toe and box, and box violently. Well, guess what? He gets hit too much. And other times he's too boxistic, more mobile, more defensive. Oh man, he's a born fighter. Man, you can never please his boxing fans. Homie Ricky, straight up and down. Pitbull Cruz, Rayo Venezuela. Who wins and how?
Oh man, dude. I'm a big fan of Rayo Valenzuela, man. But honestly, Pitbull should beat him, bro.
Okay, I asked the same
Yeah.
for our listeners, Mr. Vince Vargas and El Pachuco, the Mexican team. Let us know who you guys think wins that fight. Okay, let's hop on to the next one, right? We have, I think, okay, the toss-ups are fights like Martin Bacoli and Jared Anderson, right? I'm sure that everybody here would probably say the odds favor Anderson just on account of his amateur experience and the fact that he is younger, and of course a lot of it also has to do with the jadedness of the American, right? We tend to think that we are the best, and we minimize uh, the plaudits that we should give other fighters. But Martin Bacoli has been an upsetter before. I think Martin Bacoli is going to prove to be tougher than Jared Anderson, right? I think he's going to catch him, but it's just going to be one of those things that it's really a toss-up, because both of those fighters aren't necessarily too accomplished and too skillful in comparison to each other. But I think Anderson is due for an upset. But it's one of those fights that you can say whatever, right? But let's go to another one that maybe you've pondered better, which is Baby Miller and Andy Ruiz. What's gonna happen there?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I think Jerome Miller's gonna beat Andy Ruiz, bro.
Wow.
It's because that 2 year layoff,
Wow.
bro. Like El Pinchi Andy, bro. He's like, he's going through his divorce. It was a mess, man. Um, 2 years of inactivity.
Mhm.
Jerome Miller, he looks to be in shape. Uh, I don't know, dude. I mean, I know that he's overall the better and the superior fighter than Jerome Miller, but when you were seeing them side by side, he was struggling, bro. Andy Ruiz was struggling with Chris Arreola, you know, and yeah, man, like Jerome Miller, I don't even know if there's drug testing for it. You know what I mean? And so I just think that it's just right now. I think Jerome Miller. He went the distance, being out of shape. Well, he almost went the distance. He got stopped in the 12th round, and he showed a lot of heart against Daniel Dubois because, like, in the ninth, he was already gassed, and he was just fighting with all spirit and all heart and getting tagged with hellacious shots. Andy's better, bro. Andy overall is better, but
Mhm.
honestly, all Andy has is 1, 2, 3. That's all he throws. I remember when he was fighting Chris Arreola, that's all he wanted to throw was 1, 2, 3. Like, it was like there was no uppercuts, yeah, bro. I just think Jerome Miller might just beat him.
Wait.
I don't know.
So does Jarrell Miller have more of a punch selection?
Nah, he just has more volume. So maybe like I'm not saying that he's like, but he'll throw uppercuts. Va a estar cargadito, bro. He'll just he's got little relatively short arms. He's very slow, so I think Andy can time him because Andy's extremely fast and he's got a great left hook. But I don't know, bro. I just 2 years of inactivity that's 700 days, and he's lucky that he doesn't have to cut weight. You know,
Yeah.
because there's always that animal. But yeah, man. I mean, again, I'm gonna be rooting for Andy, but I think Jerome Miller will best him.
Andy Ruiz did say something on in yesterday's press conference, right? He said that he acknowledged that he had two very tough years. Mark Castro just hit this opponent in the back of the head. Wow. Um, he acknowledged that the past 2 years were very chaotic. That they set him off, with his personal issues, his divorce. I think he acknowledged every single thing. But he said one thing. He said he was always working out. Do you? I don't know, homie Ricky. Do you follow this guy on any of the social medias? Do you know if he's ever doing anything sports, or is he, athletics, or is he always just driving around in his 4x4s up in the desert over there in the Imperial Valley? Is he just having fun, hanging out with the women, drinking it up, or do you think he was actually, dedicating some time to his craft?
Minimal.
He
You know what
looks
I mean?
good. He looks good.
Like you do see him training. You do see him hitting the bags. You know what I mean? But it's minimal work, bro. Like it's not effort that you're gonna be like, oh, he's gonna be a champion. Hell no. This dude, he's partying with Baby Bash. He's off roading. I mean, he's living life. You know what I mean? Because look, I get it. I get it. He's been working since in the sport of boxing, sacrificing, fighting for free on amateur fights, right? Like I get it. So but there's time to party, and then there's time to stay locked in and focused. And once I seen that effort, that he gained even more weight in the rematch with Joshua, how he was lethargic on his feet. You know what I mean? It was basically like Roberto Duran. You won your Super Bowl, but on the rematch, bro, against Sugar Ray Leonard, there's a rematch clause for a reason. You have to follow up. You have to make sure it's not a fluke. Duran, he had the No Mas incident because he wasn't training. He was partying with the Panamanian Congress and throwing all these lavish parties like Great Gatsby. Same thing with Andy Ruiz, partying with Baby Bash, going through all of these. He found these rejoice of new friends. You know what I mean? And then Anthony over there fucking working on his craft in disbelief how he got caught and realized, oh shit, this is my fight. This is what I needed to do. Andy still showed you heart. He was cut up, head was getting bounced off, like off the stiff jab and the 1-2s from Anthony Joshua. But it was like, damn, Andy, bro, you have to follow up and be consistent. Once I saw that, then I realized es nomás otro Mexicano, like Mikey Garcia. They just want to get paid and they can't follow it up like Oscar De La Hoya or Canelo Alvarez or Marquez, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, fuck, dude. Siempre lo mismo, bro. Like, I'm just like,
Oh man.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we
Well, I
know
hope
that
that's not the
story
case
be
because
told
he
so
said,
often, bro.
yeah, he spoke about being ready. He spoke about really wanting it. He spoke about making those mistakes, about having those outside the sport distractions. He spoke about all of those things. He acknowledged them, right? He didn't seem to me to be a fighter that had much to say to excuse his lack of professionalism, right? His shortcomings. He wasn't trying to justify that or explain them. He acknowledged what they were, and he said he needed to come back. He said he needed to remind the people who he was. He understood that he made grave mistakes and that he's grateful for this opportunity, right? And I think that part right there about being grateful. I think the Mexican G said it earlier on the day, right? In the life he says, "I'm always trying to be in a good mood. I work today, and that's a gift from the Lord." That is gratitude, right? To be able to muster yourself out of bed and have people rely on you for something, and you going in there and finding that as an opportunity that is worthwhile, something that you feel blessed and a sense of gratitude for, a sense of responsibility and of duty. And that's what it sounded like he was proud and grateful of having an opportunity for, to demonstrate that he is a responsible individual, that he knows what he's there to do, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that just because you have that type of mentality right there, that means you're working out or you really mean it. But when you heard Jarrell Miller in his interview, he was a lot of capping. It was a lot of curse words. It was a lot of that hype energy. You know, he was getting rah rah. He was selling the fight. I get it. It's great. And here's the thing, right? He's from New York. He's he's sassy. He's spunky. You know, he's outgoing. But I don't think you'll get some honesty from a person that's there to, you know, have a good time and, you know, start cursing out his opponents and talking about kicking some ass, and that's all he was focused on, as much as Andy Ruiz, who's being open about his shortcomings and about understanding the importance of overcoming them and getting a second chance, right? I think when you have that type of mentality, that you have a second chance in life, you really take it, right? You really, really take it. Now, we know that that's not always the case. We just saw a couple of months ago Deontay Wilder, who also talked about chances, who also talked about opportunities. And guess what? He didn't live up to those opportunities. He didn't come over here with the type of energy. So I don't know. I just believe Andy Ruiz, where I don't believe many other fighters that would speak like that, right? Um,
Yeah.
with that being said, 2 years of inactivity versus a guy that we know has been active for at least the past year and a half, 3 fights, one of those a loss, where he ended up losing every single round, in my opinion, or the majority of rounds to Daniel Dubois. That guy
Yeah.
right there, who has a history of PEDs and usage of drugs, yeah, I think if he's going to lose, that's one of the fights that you can almost assure that it's going to lead to a loss, unfortunately, to the former Mexican American legend of heavyweight, the first Mexican American, maybe Chicano heavyweight in the history of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, look, like we said, Andy Ruiz is he's better, bro. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to be active. Now, here's the thing: Jarrell Miller is a very flawed fighter. You know, he's a big target to hit as well. So it would benefit Andy. You know what I mean? Like, he like the thing with Jarrell Miller is that he's going to be in the pocket. He's going to be there to get hit. You know. But again, so this is going to be a fight of who has more will and in a battle of attrition. Because Andy is not going to be boxing and moving and doing and fighting them off the jab. Like, no, bro, it's going to be a simple back step here, trying to counter punch. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be hard to find Jerome Miller. The
Yeah,
thing is this: are you going to be able to knock him out early or knock him out late? Because if Jerome Miller is still standing there late, it's going to be a
yeah,
lot of wear and tear. Like, it should be a good fight. By that same token, this is the heavyweight division. So most of the time, like, this fight's going to end in a knockout. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Like, that's just the reality, because these guys are like, okay, yeah, I mean, Andy hits hard. So if Jerome Miller is not really one to retreat, he
mhm.
puts you up against the ropes and he starts throwing a lot of punches. Now, they're punches from basically a 370-pound man. You know, it's gonna be a very interesting fight, bro. Like, it's gonna be a dog fight, and that's what's gonna be good. I just don't want it to be sloppy, like when Robert Guerrero fought Victor Ortiz. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? I don't want to see one of those fights, but we'll see, man. In this particular undercard and this fight night, we're gonna get a little bit of everything. We're gonna get a lot of fighters with a lot of great skill showcasing. Jared Anderson might be very scared and nervous with Bacoli that he might box and put on a stinker, because I'm sure that he'll use his legs. We're gonna get a little bit of everything, and then we go to the main event. Sergey Derenchenko, fucking Israel Madrimov versus Terrence Bud Crawford. We were talking about this earlier. Honestly, Madrimo stands no chance to beat Terrence Bud Crawford, bro.
Okay, wait. Before we get there, I just wanted to
What? You
acknowledge
still want to
the
talk about the
picks of.
undercard?
Before we get there, I just wanted to acknowledge the opinions of our commenters. El Pachuco states he's got Pitbull Cruz by knockout within 6 rounds. Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. I tend to think that Rayo is a little more skillful. I think there is a formula to how to evade the aggression of Isaac Cruz. I think his last fight was a very tough fight. I don't think it looked quite good on Isaac Cruz. I can't remember that fight, but it looked like the other guy, all he did is implement one side step, a shuffle here and there, and then it looked like Pitbull Cruz was having a hard time with a fighter that was taller than him and can have some lateral movement. So that is in and of itself a tactic that Rayo can employ to at least make the fight last longer than 6 rounds. Can he win? Absolutely. Pitbull Cruz can win. Can he get a knockout Rayo? Absolutely. But yeah, we'll see. I acknowledge that is a very good opinion. In fact, the homie Ricky states that's a great prediction, to be honest. I'm hoping the distance, but I don't see Rayo being able to hurt Pitbull. Wow, you don't see that. Wow. With that speed, with that range, and he is a knockout puncher. I don't know how he wouldn't be able to hit Pitbull Cruz. Pachuco thanks Vince Vargas for leading him on to those free fights that the zone is broadcasting over there from the pier of Santa Monica. Eddie Medi, good even for the you, sir. Pitbull versus Rayo is going to be amazing. I'm rooting for the Mexican. I think by that he means Pit. Whoa, come on, home, Eddie. I know what you're doing, man. Both of them are Mexican. One is just from El Distrito Federal, and the other one is from Sinaloa or something to that effect. He's just, man, Eddie Medi. Pachuco states, I always thought that Ruiz could have been a very good to great heavyweight, but the lack of discipline has affected his career. Yeah, we've discussed this career and his shortcomings. Lamentable, and regrettable. El Pachuco, absolutely. El Pachuco says it was sad to see Andy Ruiz shouldn't leave Manny Robles. We've talked about that too at Pachuco and a lot of many months ago. I think that is one of the worst things that he could have done, right? Homie Ricky, leave the training under Manny Robles, because after that is when we started to see, this crazy old bipolar version of Andy, the guy who was going up in weight, almost fighting as like a Bridger weight, and just looking fat and skinny and fat, and then being the guy that was just spending all of his money and getting divorced. That's that guy after Manny Robles. So yeah, I do think that's one of his biggest mistakes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we all agree with that. Cruz versus Cabrera. Yeah. I think Pitbull's skills are underrated. I've never seen Pitbull hurt in a fight. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is first time that Rayo's fighting at 140, correct?
140.
Like,
yep.
Yeah, most of his fights are at 135. Yeah, dude, like, he's there to basically get knocked out, man. Like, he's there to get knocked out. Like, again, he has limited professional experience. He's limited in the amateur game. He's still learning on the fly, and he's still very young. The problem is they're moving on way too fast. Like, put it to you like this. He went this distance with Stephen Colbert the first time. Now, he beat him, but the fight was relatively close, I guess, that there needed to be a second fight in which he slept Colbert. Colbert is a 130-pounder, bro. You see? And Rayo did sleep him at 135, but you beat Colbert to get to Pitbull Cruz? That's not how it works. You know what I mean? Like, you had to be like a Jose Ramirez, a Maurice Hooker at least, an ex-champion at 140. You're cutting in line, and you're going to get exposed. So when El Pachuco goes, I see him getting knocked out in 6 rounds, that's exactly what's probably most likely going to happen. Because, again, you don't just cut in line in front of all of these dudes at 140. I don't even know if Rayo Valenzuela could beat Jorge Linares. And Jorge Linares is, like, way removed. And that's just because of the inexperience that he has in the professional game. Now, can we talk about the main event or no, not yet?
Yeah, no, let's get down to brass tacks, right? Okay, you said we have to be realistic. right? No matter how you cook it, when we look at the main event fight between Israel Madrimov versus Terence Bud Crawford, you say there is only one logical conclusion. And if we go based off logical conclusions, absolutely, there is no question. Madrimov is easy pickings, right? He's there to lose. He has no chance. He is an inexperienced fighter who's never fought anybody, who got his belts granted to him on a vacancy because the baby Charlo he couldn't defend or preferred not to defend. He preferred to enjoy the rewards of fighting Canelo Alvarez. And we now have a fighter that became a champion off of vacancies and who's never fought nobody, who has less than 12 fights as a professional, taking on a 3 division champion, 2-time undisputed at 2 weight classes, undefeated knockout artist who is getting better and stronger every time he steps up in weight, Terence Bud Crawford. You say Madrimov is set to lose, and you said that Madrimov is here just to make Terence Bud Crawford a 4 division champion on the cheap, on the easy, just because Turki Al-Sheikh has some kind of fetish for Terence Bud Crawford. Is that correct? You say Madrimov is a bum. Is he
Yeah,
a bum,
look,
homie Ricky?
look, that's a harsh word. No, he's definitely not a bum, dude. You know what I mean? But again, he got the opportunity to cut in line. You know what I mean? And look, this fight, the context of it just reminds me when Canelo fought Floyd Mayweather. Right? Canelo is very young. Right? Madrimov has young professional experience, even though he's 29 years old. He's got young professional experience with 10 pro fights. Madrimov would look best close to 20 pro fights. You know, even 17 or close to it. Canelo had 44 something fights when he fought Floyd. So he had the pro experience, but he's still very young because he started at 15 and he's only 23. Most fighters at 23, they're not a complete project. They're barely learning. So everything comes down to experience. Bud, just like Floyd, they have the experience at the ultimate level, at the epitome against pound for pound fighters, at the biggest world stages. This is Madrimov's first biggest fight. You know what I mean? And he just barely, this is also probably his second fight going 12 rounds. Canelo, yeah, he had fought Shane Mosley, I think before Floyd, Josecito Lopez, and other fights that are relatively big, but it wasn't at that level, at that skill set, you know? And this should be a masterful performance from Bud Crawford, just similar how Floyd put one on Canelo. Regardless if Madrimov loses, he's going to have tremendous upside in his young career, and he's going to gain valuable information here, but he's not going to have the game plan that is needed, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, you know, it's the same like Bivol when he beat Canelo. The difference is, though, that was like Canelo's 5th or 6th weight classes. This is Bud's 4th, which would be equivalent to when Canelo moved up to middleweight if he started at 140. Also, Bivol had size, height, arm length, mass all over Canelo. But Crawford
Which is
is
what
rangier, taller,
which is what
stronger,
Israel looks like he
probably
has.
stronger.
But
Say
he
again?
looks like he has all these physical advantages over Terence Bud Crawford. He's slightly taller.
None.
Um, he's not taller.
He's probably like 5'9", but Crawford's like 5'8" and a half.
Yeah, I think the range definitely behooves Terence Bud Crawford, right?
Yeah, I think Crawford has got like 74, 75 arm length, and like Madrimov probably has like 70 to 72. You know what I mean? I don't know. He just looks bigger. You know what I mean? He just looks bigger. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's stronger. See, Canelo looked bigger. No, he was bigger than Floyd. It doesn't even matter, you know?
Hmm. So if you boil it down like that, right? When we look at most pay-per-view main events, wait, did you hear something? Is somebody there in the line? Hmm.
Nah, I'm just kidding. What's up, man?
Oh, oh! I knew there was somebody there.
I know you like to do little setups like that. I'm like, oh, this guy knows who it is. You know who's on the line. You just want to do a
Yeah.
dramatic entry.
Yeah. So,
What up, Drew?
ladies and gentlemen,
What's up,
good
man?
even fall to you. Dream 1, 2, 3. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. Just long day today, but
Hello,
I was
hello,
what?
hello,
Hello, can you hear me?
hello.
Ah, this guy. Nah, no, but
Long,
yeah,
long story short, long day at work, huh?
yeah. No, I had to. I was watching. I was listening to the to podcasts and stuff. So I was up to date. So yeah, man. Yeah, I can't wait, man. This is gonna be a big card right here, man. Man, just gotta get through this week, man, because man, they're working me. But yeah, man, I'm definitely gonna watch this one. I'm not sure if I'm gonna order it or not because I was gonna see if you guys were down to like split it or something. But yeah, nah, yeah, no, I was
Of course, man. We can
yeah.
definitely split it. We can we can split. We can make some beef ribs. I want beef ribs, guys. I want beef ribs. That's I dream about beef ribs. Everybody talks about pork ribs. My goodness, I just want some beef ribs. I just want something greasy, fatty, little bit of meat. Just I just want something very salty and greasy, guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So you guys were talking about the main event out here.
Yeah, but you know what? I think homie Ricky is about to take a little break because right about now he always disappears. In Pachuco states,
Okay.
I just hope that Madrimov shows up to fight and doesn't lay down for Bud. Look, Pachuco, I don't think any of those, you know, I don't know, Eastern. What part of the region is that? Uh, Dream.
Uzbekistan.
Yes, that Eastern European fighter. Is that an Eastern European? I think so. An
Yeah.
Eastern European or Asian fighter, right? Um, they they have no reason to come over here and make themselves an easy touch for any of these American fighters. Pachuco,
Well,
I think he is here to fight. I just don't know if he is the guy for Bud. I know that every time you go up in weight, you really test yourself. But how much can you test yourself when with a fighter that has about a third of the fight experience that you do, who's never fought a former champion, who has never fought in any other division, who gained his belt not because he beat a champion, but because he got it granted to him, right? He ended up basically, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he ended up having to fight a guy. So that's better than just being gifted a belt. He ended up fighting another undefeated fighter. But both of the guys were known names. Yeah, Central Asian, I believe. I always confuse Central Asian with Eastern European. But I don't think he's here to lay down at Pachuco. I think he's here to fight. But it's a tall order to say that a guy that has what 10, 11 pro fights
and
can beat 10 pro fights can
well,
beat a
11.
guy
My bad.
who's
Yeah.
11 pro fights can beat a guy who's stepping into his fourth division to become a champion. Dream, let me ask you something before we get there, because homie Ricky likely stepped out. But when you think about this fight, is Crawford chewing too much, or is this gonna be easy pickings?
Um. So I think with this guy, right? He's not he's I would say he's heavy handed, but he's got these nice variety of combinations and they're consistent. But everyone just talks about his size and all that. Um but and I'm looking at his resume out and first of all, like it's 10-0 and 1. He has one tie but or one draw, I mean, and he actually has nothing but hard touches, bro. Like they're not nothing but like solid fighters, bro. So it's a bunch of solid fighters on his resume, even though it's just 10 fights, bro. Like there was no, and he started off doing 10 rounders, so he has a ton of experience, bro. Even though they're 10 rounds, usually they, ease them into it, 6 rounds or maybe even 4 rounds. But, um, yeah, and then this guy went straight to 10 rounds. So,
Hmm.
um, with this guy though, he is. And he also has a draw against Michael Soto, who is actually a tough veteran, bro. But I think Soto is very knockoutable. He is very beatable, and
Very beatable. Michel
yeah,
Soto.
no, yeah, yeah, Michelle Soto, bro. I mean, I know he's a solid fighter, but he got a draw against
Yeah.
that guy. Yeah, but Soto's like, I don't know, like he just has easy touches, bro. He has nothing but easy touches, but he what's it called he's not. I'm talking about Madrimov, right? He's not defensively responsible.
Yeah.
You know, he's focused too much on not too much, but if he or in his previous fights he was letting his hands go. But you know what happens when your glove leaves your face? You're open for shots.
Hmm.
And sometimes he just doesn't stop with his combinations and doesn't go back to defense. He just continues the onslaught kind of. And so with Bud, he's gonna capitalize on that. He's gonna take advantage of that. That fight with Kurbanov, I actually
Hmm.
watched that fight. Kurbanov wasn't even swinging. He was just on that shell, bro, and then he just
Yeah.
kept
Yeah.
continuing to get touched.
Going to the
Um,
ropes, right?
yeah, and it's like, dude, like, is that it, bro? Like, he was doing that for, I don't know, like the last 2 3 rounds, and it's like, bro, you have to throw back, bro. Like, so he didn't have the best footwork, because in reality, your defense is your footwork,
Yeah.
and he didn't have none of that. So with Bud, he can switch and he can actually change it up on Madronov, and I'm just a little afraid. I am a little worried because Bud has to figure out this guy's power and what he's capable of, and then he's gonna walk and do his thing, and but it's like there is like this little sense of worry, like I have a little for him, but like he's not defensively responsible. Like I don't see him slipping shots too much. I don't see him like putting his gloves where they're supposed to be. He has his gloves down sometimes. Um, he looks really athletic though, but that's with Crawford. I'm gonna need to see you be defensively responsible, even when even when you're not even supposed to be.
Yeah.
Even like
Yeah.
because even if they're capable of, even if they're far out of range,
Hmm.
like I still like to see that, because they can still reach over for a shot and catch you by surprise. So that's one of the things I notice, and he leaves his hands down if he feels like they're out of range. And the Crawford, he's just gonna take advantage of that. Like we need to see how he does, like how he finishes fights, because he's always getting in these knockouts, and if he goes the distance, it's for 10 rounds. He never really goes 10 rounds straight, or 12 rounds, I'm sorry. He only did that once
Hmm.
against a dude named Eric Walker. I think he fought fucking Jamal James. Oh no, no, this isn't him. No, but so he only went to 12 rounds once. So for me, he still doesn't have experience finishing off a 12-round fight. You
Yeah.
know,
That's another good point, actually.
yeah. So
Wow.
he only did that once in 2020 of August.
Uh,
So that's the thing with me. And looking at the X's and O's, he, just to close my case, he's not defensively responsible with his hands, with his glove placement and his footwork. He's not. He's always in range to get hit. So I'm like, dude, this is a knockout. It's gonna be a knockout.
a knockout.
This is
Wow.
not
You
gonna go.
just went in.
This isn't going
You
to.
just
This
said a
is not going.
knockout.
This isn't going the distance.
So look,
This is not
okay.
going the distance.
So El Pachuco states, uh, and I can understand a healthy level of skepticism and of acknowledging the corruption behind the sport, right? He says that he hopes that Madrimov doesn't come over here to lay down, right? Right? And I say that I don't know why that would be the case, but he does, of course, mention the fact that you know there's a lot of corruption going on in the sport. I'm trying to find a comment, but he's basically trying to say something to the effect that money corrupts everything, though it's possible. And if you've been noticing the way that Turkey Ali Sheikh has been trying to position Terence Bud Crawford for his future fights, he's speaking like if all of Crawford's fights are preconceived outcomes, right? Like there is an expectation that he's gonna win everything. Like Turkey Ali Sheikh, he knows that Terence Bud Crawford has never fought at 154. He's fighting this guy that diehards are saying is the next Triple G, um, the next star from Central Asia, and Ismail Madrimov. They say that this guy is the guy that'll really test. In fact, I've actually heard people say that Madrimov is going to be the toughest test of Terence Bud Crawford. I look at that and I'm like, more than Ricky Burns at once,
Well, this is the
who,
thing. This,
who, who used
this
to be like a two-time division champion, or a three belt holder. Errol Spence Jr. Um, those guys. This is gonna be the toughest fight. Like of Terence Bud Crawford, this is the guy who's gonna test. And when I think about that, right, I think, are we forgetting what Terence Bud Crawford has done? Are we forgetting how steadfast and dedicated he is to the sport? Are we forgetting that you never hear no controversies about Terence Bud Crawford, and in fact, all you hear is how hard he works? Are we forgetting, how hard it is to climb up these ranks and accomplish the things that Terence Bud Crawford has done, right? Why would some guy that's never fought anybody, why would he present those type of challenges to a fighter that has fought most people? He's fought most styles. What is it about somebody like Madrimov that can
this
show Terence Bud Crawford something he's never seen before?
this is what pops out to me. His debut, he fought a dude named Vladimir Hernandez. That's a dude who upset fucking what's his name, Lorenzo Simpson, and he fought Troy Eiley and a couple of other guys. Not Madrigal. I'm talking about Vladimir. But he fought him on his debut, bro. I'm like, dude, that's insane, bro. Like that's a lot of confidence, right? And I'm using that, right? I'm thinking about that. Him being at 154, full fledged 154. We have not seen Terrence Crawford yet at 154 yet, you know. But from what I heard, he's actually been working up to 154 for last couple months, you know. So he's just been in the lab, just working on his shit, working on his weight, the way he's carrying it. And dude, honestly, it looks like he's doing it the right way. He still looks small and skinny. But if anything, it looks like his legs got better. You know, he worked on on his lower legs, and then it looks like he kind of got a little bigger up top. You know, but I'm like, dude, it looks like because I've seen guys move up in weight, and you'll see them have like big shoulders, just a big muscle that they didn't need. You know, they isolated too much shoulder or something. You know, it looks, Bud just looks like he upped like his whole entire body. You know, like he just looks bigger. You know, and it looks like he put it on his lower legs. You know, because he's not trying to lose his speed. So I feel like when you're moving up in weight, I say it's a lot. It depends how you're carrying the weight. It depends how you put it on, because everyone's built differently. Maybe you've already lifted weights when you were younger. Maybe
Hmm.
you were a bodybuilder or playing football before this. So you probably got to calm down on the weights, and you didn't do enough legs. You know, you need to do more legs. I think legs is everything, bro. Like in boxing, you know.
Yeah,
So yeah, I just think Terrence did it the right way, and just by looking at that, you know. Um, but I am, like I said, I am worried, but the 90% or 90 some percent of this is all mental, bro.
yeah,
Like when
yeah.
Terrence Crawford turns it up, like what is Madrimov's mentality? Because you can have all these skills, but he seems soft. You know, he doesn't seem like he talks back. You know, I know there's a language barrier, but like what's his body language like when he gets overly confident and then he sees Crawford turning it up? Does he have another gear? Because I haven't seen that other gear. It just looks like he has one gear, you know? So I think Terrence is gonna knock him out, bro. That's what my gut feeling says.
I think that's the second person that I've heard be realistic. I think Homie Ricky's the other guy that stated that, and he said he sees the same thing. He sees a knockout. I don't know. I look. I've seen Madrimov fight two times, maybe three, and I do think he's got some very good footwork. I do think he steps over his lead foot. He heads over his lead foot, and I think he throws with much vigor and with much desire to hurt. That he can actually put himself in off balance positions, and that's gonna work against him, right? Um, but he is an ambidextrous fighter. He can fight both orthodox and southpaw. Now we know the same thing applies for Crawford, right? But this guy's a naturally bigger fighter who apparently he's amassed a wider amateur uh, history than Terence Bud Crawford. Now we know that the amateurs is way different than the pros. You know, most amateur fights are what, 3 rounds. It's easy to just fight 3 rounds, right? We know some fighters that are only 3, maybe even 6 round fighters, and then after that, they're not designed to go that long. I think famously Caleb Plant is one of those guys that can go 6 tough rounds, win them all, and then after that, it's he's set to lose. But I do believe that styles make fights. And I do believe that this dormancy, this long layoff that Terence Bud Crawford, his son, who's about 37 years of age now, I think there is some wear and tear. He's never taken any physical damage, I would say, but he is older. I know he's in shape. I know he's in the gym all the time, but he's not active. Now, I don't think the jitters, the nervousness of being in the theater of war, I don't think that's actually an issue with Terence Bud Crawford. Um, I just think maybe the comfortability of having won his last fight so convincingly, and even the fight prior to that with Terence Bud Crawford, I think that's just one of those things that is going to set him up for that confidence that there is nothing Madrimov could do with this lack of experience and with the skills that he has that should concern Crawford. And I'm not saying he's going to take it easy, because I don't think he ever does. But it's all these contexts, these circumstances that can give Madrimov, the much younger fighter, a fighting chance, right? The naturally heavier, not bigger, but heavier fighter who's younger, who's more active, who has good footwork, maybe not better than Crawford's, but very good creative footwork with power in both hands. Maybe he can catch Terence Bud Crawford. I am a fan of the underdog. This is a puncher's chance. I do want Madrimov to beat Terence Bud Crawford, but would I put money in it? No, absolutely not. I wouldn't. Let's just say a couple of things right here. Mr. Vince Vargas says he's not gonna pay for this fight because he's a top ranker. Yeah, and it's $80. Pachuco says, and it's good food. Possibly mixing some chorizo or disecada. Yeah, so Dream, if you do want to pitch in onto this fight, we can definitely do that. I was actually gonna propose that we do that so that we can gather some money, pull it together, and then maybe have some barbecue. I was really craving some beef ribs, greasy, bony, you know, salty beef ribs. But El Pachuco says tripitas, bien doraditas. Have you ever had tacos of tripitas bien doraditas? Not those, gummy ones that look all nasty. They're still all great. This one has nice little char, nice little curly goldiness to it. Do you like
Tripas?
tripitas? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the
Yeah, I
intestines
like
or the
tripas.
butt. Yeah, they're great, right?
Yeah, I love
The
that
little
ass.
caquita that comes out of it.
Yeah, I love ass.
Yeah, yeah. I love that.
But yeah, no, I like tripa, bro. It's good. Like I tried different fucking from different fucking places, and I love, bro. Just I think I just naturally like it. I love it. Like I just like it with lemon and or I don't know. It just depends how it tastes, but I like it 100% of the time.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
tripa.
So I love tripas, right? Tripa guys.
Hmm. Yeah, put it on a
Yeah, no.
sticker.
So $80. What do you think about the price?
Um, I would like it to be like less than that, like 70, 75, or less, dude, like 60. Um, but yeah, 60 I think is fair, but um, I was gonna buy it if you guys weren't gonna watch it. I was gonna buy it. So that's what I think about it. Like it was gonna take my money, regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But so I'm glad that you said you were willing to pitch in just on
this
account
was the
of
one. This was
yeah,
the
this
one
is
to
the
pay
one.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've been trying to convince Homie Ricky about that. I think Homie Ricky may be no, no, he's not there. Um Homie Ricky states that it's a good card overall, but he doesn't think it's a big pay-per-view card, right? And
Well,
I'm just saying, let's compare this card lineup to all the other pay-per-view offerings that we've had in the past years, right? Which fight night has been better presented to us with potentially good fights that we've paid before in the past? Not Canelo fights. Canelo fights, maybe you'll get one undercard fight that's worth the squat, but otherwise, Canelo is the main event. Over here, there's at least 3 or 4 main event fights, right? If these were fights that just took place on Saturdays, there's at least 4 or so fights there that could be headlining a Thursday or a
this
Saturday night, and I think it'd be worth it. You putting all of these guys in one night. I think it's a good bang for buck
yeah.
for 80.
Well, so this is what I think about it, right? I think it could have been. I don't think it is anymore. You know why? Because that Virgil Ortiz fight. That was the one. That was the one that was actually gonna make me sit down and watch
Yeah,
it the whole entire time. Because
yeah,
now there's a cushion. Now there's a cushion of time
yeah,
between. I don't know. I think it's the Andy because Andy Cruz is fighting, but that's the one that they added in, I believe.
yeah.
So it's like fuck, like that he fights in the prelims though, but then you gotta wait like 2 hours, bro, until you want to actually watch the main event, like the main card, So it's
What?
like, yeah, I think so. Like there's a couple of other fights, but like they're hardcore fights, and they're not like big fights, but like it's like fuck, man, like that Virgil Ortiz fight was actually going to like cut that in half and make me want to sit down and watch it, bro. Like, so that's the one that really would have been like, if that was in, I would, if that there were Tim Zoo and Virgil were fighting, that I would have been like, this is the best card of all time, like possibly of all time, but the there's other fights. I think I was more intrigued by the Matchroom versus the Zone, or Matchroom versus yeah,
Oh, the 5v5. That was great.
yeah, that one was a good one. I love that one. So that one kept me entertained because it was low key black versus white, and it was like a whole promotional thing, But like, yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
good,
great.
bro. Like I like how they did it. It made me pay attention to not just the fights but the score, And I was like, all right, like it was cool. I want to see that for other guys, but yeah, that was probably one that was like good, and then there's a couple of other ones, man. I think the Tyson Fury one was good versus Usyk. I don't know. I could have sworn there's other ones though, you know, but I think there was one where Joseph Parker and Jai Opatai was fighting, or no, I think Bivol was fighting too or something like that. But yeah, uh, yeah. So yeah, I can name a few.
Yeah, this is not the fight card to complain about, right? Not the fight card to
Yeah,
complain
but I
about.
can't
Not even the
complain.
price. Yeah, I don't think it's too. I
It's
don't think
viable.
there's. Yeah, it definitely viable. I think it's definitely something that if it becomes too much of a burden, make it a fight night, make it a fight party, right? Invite a couple of friends, tell them to throw in 10, $20 in there, make some scratch, use the rest to buy some meat, barbecue, have fun, drink some jarritos. Um, it'll be a great night. This is not the one to miss. To stream, look, I would never stream something this good, right? You want to
Not
tell
worth it.
these guys, yeah, well, you know what they'll do. This is the one that they're gonna zap. This is too
Yeah,
much money
this is.
invested. They're gonna start
Oh yeah.
zapping them. They're gonna corrupt it. You're gonna miss out on all of the knockouts. It's gonna be buggy. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people are probably gonna start, doing the hopping on. Those things are gonna be overwhelmed. Those servers, guys, save yourself the headache, especially if you're gonna have a fight party. You do not want to be that guy that's so cheap that that you invite all these people and you're fighting this illegal stream that's going to be shut down, corrupt your laptop or whatever. I don't know what you guys use to, and then tell the boxing world, no, I don't want cards like this. I don't want cards this chock full. I'm still gonna not pay for it, right? This is the one where you say, look, Turkey, yeah, give me something like this once in a while. Yeah, I'll pay for it. Reduce the price. Yeah, I'll pay for it. That's basically what we're telling Turkey Al Sheikh, right? By not buying 500, 1,000, $10,000 tickets and leaving it to the last week when they're only 350. You're saying, listen, $300, I'll pay for that. 1,000, heck no.
Yeah.
I don't know
No.
if you know this. Do you
So
know that the tickets went down like way, like around half
yeah,
of the
yeah. They
price?
they had to. They had to because it was too much. But now, that people were gonna go regardless.
Yeah,
But yeah, just because of selling pressure, and then people started seeing the tickets, like the I think it went to like the season ticket holders of the L.A. Clippers. So I don't know. I don't know. I think they had like first dibs type of shit, but I don't know. Um,
really.
so yeah, like, and then they got it in the first market, and then they sell it in the second market, and yeah, so that yeah, that's why like um the prices went down and all that, but yeah, it was expected, bro. I wasn't gonna be shocked. I know a lot of people are gonna be there. It's actually like a big fight. I can feel it. I can feel how big it is. So
Yeah,
yeah, because they're doing their thing with the promotional, and they're investing a shit ton of money. So
yeah.
yeah, that's the only thing. I
Dream, let
was
me just
dude.
ask you one. Okay,
Go
sorry. You
ahead.
were gonna say?
No, go ahead. Go
No, no,
ahead.
no, because it was gonna lead in a whole other direction that
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
too sure if I want to go in there. What were you gonna say?
Nah, cause right now I'm on my laptop, and I just can't stop laughing off of the Terrence Crawford and Eddie Hearn.
Oh,
Um, like that little argument, dude. That shit is hilarious, dude. Cause I can feel Terrence's energy, and he's not playing. Like everyone thinks like Terrence is playing because he's laughing while they're arguing and shit like that. But I just can't stop laughing because I'm like, dude, like if if Eddie moves the wrong way, just gonna fucking smack him, dude. I
yeah,
can feel it, but Eddie Hearn's not that type of guy that puts himself in that type of position.
yeah.
Like
No,
he's not
he
the
can
type to
dish it.
disrespect.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, so
He's the type to dish
but
it. He knows how to talk.
he,
He's got
yeah.
charisma.
Yeah, and he'll say respectfully, and he was like, Terrence was like he got kind of serious when he said, You said you take my money, or you said I owe you, or what do you say? I owe you money, so take it. You know, he was like confused. They're just staring at each other. They're like, "What?"
Yeah, he
He was
said
like
he said you ain't
Eddie
gonna
was
do
like, "What are you
nothing,
talking
and none
about?"
of these guys are gonna do anything. Like he was saying that the bodyguards of Eddie Hearn, those guys weren't gonna do anything to him. Like saying he would beat them all. And I'm
Yeah,
like, look, look. See, it's that kind of energy, right? That makes it seem like Terrence Crawford is a bully and just a scoundrel, right? Like you can imagine Terrence Bud Crawford is the kind of guy that he knows he could beat you up, so he's always joshing with you, ribbing
yeah,
you, just giving you a hard time,
yeah,
right? You know those in Mexico they call it carrilleros. They just give you carrilla. They just like what is it? They pressure you. They continue to pressure you. They're just like instigating, right? And he seems to be that kind of guy. To have and I think it's tacky, right? I think it's low class and tacky for Terrence Bud Crawford, a fighting man, to try and instigate and insinuate that he can beat up Eddie Hearn. Listen, guy, we know that. Do you have to rub yourself off to the world like saying I can beat you up and I can beat up your three bodyguards? No, listen, dude, no, you can't.
no, no. He
Right?
said, "I'm talking about the one where he said, I'm better than you at everything, or something like that." That's the one you're talking about?
I don't know. This is where they were standing right there in the middle of the whatever the theater or the arena where they're going to be fighting, and he was saying I beat three of your fighters, you put them all three, I've beaten them all before, Ricky Burns was the best guy, and so
Oh
forth
yeah,
and so
that
on.
one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And he was basically saying you ain't going to do nothing. You ain't going to come over here and take nothing from me, I'll take it from you. These guys ain't going to do nothing. None of you guys are going to do nothing. He was basically saying. Now
Yeah, but he was
I don't.
saying like because I guess one time Eddie was like, "Oh, you owe me 700 pounds," which I don't know what that means. I know what it means, but I don't know what pounds equates to. But
For
he
500 bucks.
okay, yeah, he's you owe me $500, I guess, from what's it called, from you guys ordered something from the hotel from one of those fights. And then he kept like egging him on, but like Terrence was just ignoring it. He kept like talk this shit, and then he goes, "You said I owe you money, so come and take it." And then Andy was looking at him like, "What?" He's all, "You said I owe," and he said it again. He goes, "You said I owe you money, so come and take it." And then he goes, "What are you talking about?" This is funny. It was just funny, bro. Like Eddie was like, "What are you talking about, dude?" Like he's gonna take it, and he points at Madrimov, and it was just
Oh,
funny, bro. Like,
that's funny. That's funny.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
he
that
goes,
is
and
funny.
then and then he points at Madrimov. He's gonna take it, and then I was like, damn, that's funny though, because I was like he tested him. He goes, "You said I owe you money, so like literally, physically, come and reach my pockets and take it," you know.
Yeah,
So like Eddie's not gonna put himself. It could have gone serious if he did, you know.
yeah. Oh, of course,
But
of course, of course. But that's
yeah.
what I'm trying to say, right? It's those kind of guys that are bullies most of these fighters can beat most people up, but they're not gonna be all bullies and jerks about it. It's one of those things that discussing earlier on. It's one of those things to some people rubs off wrong, right? Like in my case, he does it rubbed me wrong, right? To talk to a person that is is helping to make you a millionaire and was putting out there an opportunity for you to get some name recognition against this fighter, right? I'm not saying you have to be grateful,
Well,
right? Because it's
he's
your
running.
job.
Well, Eddie's running around saying that Boots is the best welterweight in the world. I think that's what's ticking him off.
Yeah, I guess. I guess what I'm saying, yeah, I understand Terrence Bud Crawford can make these things personal. In fact, he has to. But to say I can beat you up, really, there's a difference there,
I
right?
don't think he said that.
Well, that's what he's insinuating. He's saying you're not gonna get the money. None of these
Nah, because
guys
he
are gonna
said
do anything about it.
he said, "I can beat you at anything." And then he goes, he's all, "Not darts." Oh, he's all, "And I'm pretty good at basketball, better than you, matter of fact." and then
Yeah,
and then, but like, dude, he was like, he's all, "Darts." He goes, "You're not better than me than at anything." And he said it again, "Darts." He's all, "I'm
darts,
better than." He's like, "I'll play you darts. I'm better than you at darts than you."
cricket.
You know?
Let's play cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, no.
Uh,
So let me ask you one thing, right? El Pachuco was insinuating that that anything could happen, that obviously there could be some corruption, right? Uh, and I get that. I get that. You know, homie Ricky thinks that Turkey Ali Sheik is setting up Crawford for big fights, right? He's already talking about setting him up against Canelo Alvarez. He hasn't even gotten over this fighter. Now, that either says that Turki Al Sheikh thinks that Madrimov poses no threat, and if that's the case, that means that Turki Al Sheikh allowed this fight to happen knowing that there is no threat. So he wants Terence Crawford to win. That's why he's putting up with such an easy touch. But at the same time, he's saying that Madrimov is going to lose, and the next guy up is naturally Canelo Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan, 2 divisions from 154. Right now, I
it could
don't
be
know.
that.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
could be
But
that,
that's how he's
for
talking.
promotional.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
how is 154 versus a guy with 11 professional fights in Madrimov? How does that open up the door for a Canelo Alvarez? And what world can you convince the boxing world, the diehards, the casuals, that somebody like Terence Bud Crawford deserves to hop
I can
and skip 2 divisions because he beat Madrimov?
I can only think of one reason, and that's because he fought Jamel Charlo. You know, that's a 154 pounder. Why not Terrence? You know, so that's their
Because
reasoning.
because 154 pound Charlo, he was undisputed, right?
Well, maybe
And
he's maybe okay. Yeah. You're onto something.
bigger and undisputed. Terence Bud Crawford has been a smaller man. Actually quite on a similar trajectory to Canelo, right? They both hopped on to become champions in 4 divisions, or about to be 4 for Terence Bud Crawford if he gets over Madrimov. Both of them have become undisputed, so very similar trajectories, very similar career accomplishments. And I guess in that case, yeah, you're right. If Charlo, 154 Charlo, was good enough to have Canelo Alvarez fight, why can't Terence Bud Crawford, who's a 2-time division champion, and if he wins this Saturday, he should be a 154 champion like Charlo? What's the difference, right? So yeah, I guess you do have a
bro.
point. You do have a point.
My bad. I had to crash out right now. 'Cause I
You
forgot
have
I
to
had to
crash
wake
out.
up
You sound
pretty
like you
early.
have all kinds of energy, buddy.
Nah, man, I had to crash out. That's why.
I just messing with you, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it, man. I'm gonna wrap this up. I think for the most part, I got everything I needed from you and the homie Ricky, and I hope that you'll be available tomorrow, man. I think we only broached the subject. We'll discuss more tomorrow then.
Yeah. Just let me know when you send the link.
All right.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right. Later,
Peace.
man. Peace. Yeah. So I don't know, guys. Look, I'm divided. I'm divided on whether Madrimov is going to be a true test. And I'm only divided because I give him a puncher's chance. I give every fighter a puncher's chance. But the logical, more reasonable side of me doesn't give Madrimov any chances at all against Terence Bud Crawford. Like El Pachuco insinuates, there is some corruption in the sport of boxing that we have to factor in. All right, I do appreciate that. Money corrupts. And the way that Turki Ali Sheikh speaks about Terence Bud Crawford, how he's setting up his future fights against this guy, talking about that guy, I think it does speak volumes. about what Turkey Ali Sheik thinks of Ismail Madrimov. And because he talks with that certainty that Crawford will overcome this obstacle this Saturday, and that he will get a shot to fight another undisputed champion at 2 weight divisions from this fight, Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan, it does smell like there is some chicanery, some backroom shadiness, right? I was a big proponent of His Excellency Turki Ali Sheik until I saw that video, Knockout Chaos, right? It was a video produced by Riyadh Season and the Saudi Arabians, where I had all of these fighters, and it was designed to emulate a Street Fighter arcade style video game. You had all these fighters, you put them together like if it was a video game, like Mortal Kombat or something, right? And now I think this is really what Turki Ali Sheik thinks of these fighters, right? He could just pick and choose, put a quarter in the machine, pick this guy, choose this venue, pit him against this guy, and then anything can happen. You can have Dawson with the longest reaching arms. You can have Chang Li with the greatest, fastest footwork. You can have somebody like Ryu Ken throwing mega uppercuts. This is the way that I'm starting to think Turki Ali Sheik perceives the sport of boxing. Something that he can manipulate and just put men and women together there, and they'll fight just because he put in the money in this on the machine. When he starts manipulating the sport in the way that he seemingly is doing, right, it will negate the importance of the ranking systems, the sanctioning bodies, the accomplishments of these fighters, their careers, and he's gonna make fights happen off of whimsy, off of his power and desire to see these things happen. We can expect creative matchmaking to take place, because anything can happen. If now he's making fighters from all weight divisions hop up and down whenever he wants it to, that's creative. Is it fair? Is it gonna be equitable to proper competition? Not necessarily, but it will be creative. Is this the way that the sport should be maneuvered? I don't think so. This is more akin to MMA, right? And the only reason it's more akin to MMA is because MMA fighters, especially in the rosters of UFC, the roster is not vast. It's limited. But because it's limited, you know most of those fighters because you get to see them a lot. Turki Ali Sheik, he wants to make the sport of boxing more similar to the way that Dana White is maneuvering mixed martial arts. Creative matchmaking, sometimes it'll make sense, sometimes it won't. But hey, he's putting the money in there. Do you agree with it? I don't. I thought that he was gonna be a force of good for the sport. But every time I think about the way that he wants to move Crawford and who he wants to set him up against, I think corruption can be a major factor in the sport of boxing. More so than it has been now, when a power player like him can pull so many strings. When a power player like him can make sworn enemies like Eddie Hearn and Mr. Frank Warren shake hands and embrace. That right there is a man that has too much power and too short of a time frame. I do respect Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan and the way that he is saying, you know what? When I want to fight Crawford, if I want to fight, I'll tell Turki how much it'll cost. Somebody that stands up for himself and says, you're not going to move me like that. I am an individual that has as much power as you. I have the fan base. You have the money. I have the acclaim. I have the career. You want me. I don't need you. But we know that everybody else in the sport of boxing who is not Canelo cannot afford to pass up a Turkey Ali Sheik offer. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems that we are entering into a new phase of the sport of boxing which may be riddled with corruptibility. I hope not, but I think Turkey Ali Sheik, the way that he admires and wants to maneuver Terence Crawford and his career, I think there is the rub. I think there is the proof. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. It's been a long time since we've done this. I hope to do this more often. I hope to do one tomorrow, in fact, but this is likely not going to be about boxing. It's going to be about something that I find macabre, grotesque, and again, it is the business of organ donation. You are about to step into a dark part of human nature, the desire to live at all cost. It is going to be a scary episode, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to find out that when you think you're doing good by donating your organs, oh man, oh man, are you so wrong. I hope to meet you guys tomorrow here in the netherworlds, the dark crevices of the mind and the unknown, for Life at Warp Speed, for Dream 123, the homie Ricky, and me, your interlocutor, your broadcaster, the person that wishes you nothing but the best. Warp Speed, I bid you do well, be sane of mind and strong of body. I bid you adieu. One last thing, I guess. We've had a couple of commenters. Turkey is to be the puppet master. Yep. Yeah, that's it, Mr. Vargas. Puppet master. Master Ali Sheik or something. What do you think about Turkey conspiring with the UFC to go against Canelo's traditional September fight date but the Noche UFC event? I heard that Turkey doesn't like Canelo. Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there, but yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. El Pachuco. Turkey Ali Sheik has made it his personal endeavor to force Canelo to bend to his whims, right? Now, I don't know if you know this, but Dana White had said that he was not gonna fight, have that Noche, and we know that Noche, UFC Noche, is a UFC card dedicated mostly to Mexicans, right? It was a very successful, one of his most successful fight nights last year. I think it took place closer to December or something to that effect. And it was an event that he promoted, saying that the Mexican culture, the Mexican fighters, he said the best thing that you can say to a fighter is to say that they fight like a Mexican, which meant they fight with gusto, they fight with vigor, they give it 100%, and it will always be violent. So he was pandering, he was catering, but he was being very respectful to the Mexican and the fighters of Mexican descent, right? So Noche UFC became his biggest fight night last year. It was actually a free event. So he's doing it this year around. And this is now taking place in the Sphere in Las Vegas. He had initially stated that he was not going to interfere with Canelo Alvarez's fight night against Edward Berlanga. And all of a sudden, Turkey Ali Sheik gets involved with the UFC fight night And lo and behold, it's now announced once again that Dana White is going to go head to head against Canelo versus Edgar Berlanga fight card, right? That is Turki Ali Sheik's way at getting back against Canelo, for Canelo saying that he is going to tell Turki Ali Sheik how much it'll cost him if he really wants to see Terence Bud Crawford. It has become personal. Now I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Vince Vargas, I ask you, El Pachuco, who is going to win that fight night? Here's the thing. If Noche UFC is free, I'm sorry, but Canelo Alvarez is going to lose that pay-per-view. The numbers ain't going to be there, especially with a fighter as undeserving. In my opinion, I think he's deserving, but in the eyes of many, he is not. Edward Berlanga is not the guy that people wanted Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan to fight. If Dana White packs a bunch of Mexicans and a UFC card, even if it is pay-per-view, I think it'll sell well, and I think it will beat Canelo. Now, what does that force Canelo to do? It forces Canelo to consider what fighters he's going to have on his pay-per-view, right? Because it is going to be a pay-per-view, guys. I apologize. Canelo is not in the business of giving us anything for free. And Edward Berlanga, this is his big fight card. He's not going to allow it to just be a non-pay-per-view event. He's going to want a bit of that split. Do you guys think Dana White wins that night? Do you guys think Eddie Hearn, Canelo Promotions, No Boxing, No Life, takes that one? I don't know, guys. I think Canelo is going to be very creative. He's probably going to have to do stuff like slap Edward Berlanga, call him bad names, get that kind of attention, that negative attention, make himself a villain. Maybe get the Puerto Ricans, the Boricuas, riled up and hating on the Mexican legend to side with Edgar. Probably gonna set up a couple of other fighters on the undercard to make it intriguing. He's probably gonna have to present more than just 4 undercard fights. He's gonna have to pack it in order to beat Dana White. And now that Turki Ali Sheik is there, man, the potential of Noche UFC to be bigger than when it was last year is there. I think, hey, they're gonna have to butt heads, right? Turki Ali Sheik and Canelo Alvarez are gonna have to butt heads. But I will say this: if Turki makes Canelo Alvarez's pay-per-view event a low-selling, high-streaming one, Canelo's gonna take that personal, and he will not fight Crawford. He will get revenge on Turki, and he's not gonna give Crawford that opportunity to fight him for the biggest purse ever, and even a shot at beating them, right? Because that's really what it is. Skills against skills, not necessarily always size. Crawford, one of the best fighters in the world, can actually beat Canelo, in my opinion. That's actually one of the reasons why I don't want that fight to take place, because I like the ranking system. I like fighters to test themselves adequately. I like them to go through the hoops and the rings and beat all the guys in front of them, climb up and wait that way. I don't like shortcuts. Never had a shortcut in my life. I've never had those kind of opportunities. I've always picked myself up from the dirt. But if you get those opportunities, run with them, right? So that's what I think will happen, El Pachuco. I think it'll go head to head. I think UFC Noche, UFC will win. I think Alvarez will take it personal. And the way that he gets back against the puppeteer, Turki Ali Sheik, is that he will deny him that fight. Mr. Vince Vargas says, I like it when you said he can plug and play on who he wants to. Never thought about that. Money talks. Yeah, Mr. Vince Vargas, it's almost like he just pops in the corner through the slots and he picks out this guy and that guy. He says, let's go to Thailand. Thailand in Mortal Kombat. Mr. Vince Vargas says, I'll be buying the boxing, not that MMA. Team boxing. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Mr. Vince Vargas, I love boxing. I've considered, and I think I have paid for 1 or 2 MMA events before. But the Zone has so many MMA events, from kickboxing, Muay Thai. You don't have to pay anything, right? It's just not going to be UFC. You even get a couple of Bellator here and there. Pachuco says, Raza Unite, and let's purchase Canelo's pay-per-view fight. Yeah, I agree. I am going to pay for that. But here's the thing, Pachuco. Noche UFC also has a lot of Raza. And you may be supporting some of those fighters more than Canelo. Canelo's a multi-millionaire. I think he owns half of Chivas de Guadalajara soccer team. And he also has Viva Mexico Cabrones beverage. So he doesn't need any more money. So you won't be robbing any raza of any opportunities if you go boxing or MMA that night. Mr. Vince Vargas is Canelo going to stack that card, I hope. I hope so too. It's about time. Buying boxing hands down. Yeah, I don't think there's a question in my eyes that I'm going to get that at pay-per-view. I want that part of the fans who started with boxing and show Dana what's up. Yeah. It's a dog-eat-dog world, though, Mr. Vince Vargas. Dana, he's been trying to make a dent in boxing, and guess what? He really has. He's drawn a lot of eyes to his sport, robbed a lot of opportunities for pay-per-view events to be successful when he sets his own fight cards and other boxing fight cards. So, yeah, he's been very competitive against boxing. Yeah, Pachuco is a man of honor and pride. Yeah, so honorable and so proud, so prideful that I am sure that he would take umbrage with Turki Ali Sheikh, going against him, trying to tell him what to do, who he should fight. And if you don't like it, I'm going to side with a promotion that's going to go ahead on against you for that night. Yeah, I would take it personal. Jeez. But I don't know, guys. What do you guys think about Edward Berlanga? Right? He climbed up the ranks. There's some intrigue. Puerto Ricans are gonna go side with that guy. The New Yorkers too, and Boricuas and everybody that lives in New York that's not invested with the Mexican American or Chicano ones. West Coast versus the East Coast. I have nothing bad to say about Berlanga. Just, he's not in Canelo's level. But guys, we've already ran through the career of Canelo at 168. We've talked about 168 boxers. So I'm going to run the numbers again, right? Just so that you can see that regardless of what Canelo does from here on out, we're never going to be contented. There's never going to be a worthwhile fighter that will ever say, hey, that's a good fight, right? We'll never say that again. With the exception of David Benavidez, we'll never say that Christian Mbili, Diego Pacheco, Kevin Saggio, Osli Iglesias, Eric Basinian, Edward Berlanga, Luka Plantic, Vladimir Shishkin, Bektemir Melikuziev, David Morrell, Pablo Corso, Trevor McCumbee, Pavel Siyagin, Callum Simpson, Simon Sackenhuber, Jacob Bank. Will never see any of those fighters against Canelo in the ring and say, yeah, that's the fight we wanted to see. Yeah, that's the guy who's going to be Canelo. Why? Because unfortunately, Canelo cleared out his division and he's heads and shoulders over his competition now. Right? Yes, David Benavidez is the only fighter that deserves any mention against the Canelo fight. But once he beats that guy, if he ever fights that guy, which I think he will, and I think he will beat him. But once he beats him, guys, what is there for Canelo to do? Nothing. Nothing at 168. So we have to understand that the only way will make sense of any of these future Canelo fights is to understand that maybe those names are hard to pronounce if we've never heard of them or we've never seen them. But that does not mean that they aren't deserving. That does not mean that Canelo was never once in those positions. That does not mean that they are not capable fighters, right? We have to understand that they've climbed up the ranks. We've missed out on so many fights that because we've missed out on those fights and those names, and they're from other parts of the world that we don't know, we discredit them. But they are in fact legitimate contenders coming after the throne, coming after the belts of Canelo. And you're going to have to live with that, whether you like it or not. All the names that you mentioned, I'm sure you've never either heard of them, seen them fight, or given them any shots. Right? But Canelo's going to have to fight those guys. And that's okay. This is the thing about being so dominant. All right. Yeah. So I think once Canelo decides to fight the fighter that we all want him to fight, David Benavidez, once he fights that guy, it should be over for Canelo. Just because we'll never find a reason to pay-per-view any of his fights ever again. So we'll have a break and we'll save some money. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it again tomorrow. It's been fun. Thank you very much, Mr. Vince Vargas, El Pachuco, the Mexican Chi, the homie Ricky, Dream 123, and anybody else that hopped in this year live that had something to say, something to comment. I appreciate the visit. Let's do it again. Engage. What's going on? I don't hear any kind of outro music. Is there any outro music playing, guys? I'm sorry. Well, whatever. I guess this whole life was quite a disaster.